Hello and welcome to another honing video. Today I'm going to be trying the first of two new coticles that I just received. This one is a La Veinette, and I can say that with some authority. Mostly if you're trying to identify these, it's by the pale color of the yellow part and the type of purple and some yellow aspects in the BBW part. But I am not an expert in these things at all. I can say this with some authority because it's written on the box. I have another stone that I purchased, which Eric suggests is also a La Veinette, and I'll be using that stone in another video. Let's see, what was I going to say? As I mentioned, neither of these stones have I used. And this will be the first time for this one. The other video will be a first time for the other stone. Let me pause for just a second and I will be right back. Okay, I needed to get a slurry stone. This is the slurry stone that came with my La Petite Blanche conical. So the razor for the day is a 7/8 Carl Friedrich ERN. This is one of mine. It still needs to be cleaned up. I haven't done that. This one has not been. This is a, if you want the number, this is a 1374. This one was last honed about a year ago. It has a Veinette edge on it. So what I'm going to do with the slurry here is put enough slurry to knock off that edge. But since I'm the last person that honed this, the bevel angle won't the bevel angle won't really be changing, or not appreciably. I'm not using tape. We have an edge. So I'm going to create enough slurry to knock off this edge, retexture the bevel surfaces, and then finish up on this stone just to see what the finish is like from this stone. This, as I mentioned before, probably twice. First use, so this is a new toy. I'm looking forward to seeing how the stone feels, how it reacts to the steel, and naturally what kind of an edge I can get off of it. My approach to this kind of thing, trying different types of stones, especially natural stones, is first, these are all just abrasive tools. I don't hold any magic to any stone. With a natural stone, I'm all about the experience. I can generally get, if the stone will if the stone will sharpen, if the stone will abrade steel, then I can generally find a way to get a sharp edge and a shaving edge. So that's not really the issue. The issue is the experience of honing and the type of edge that comes off of it. And again, the type of edge is not going to be related to does it shave, but how does it feel when it shaves. As you can see, this is that grayed up very, very quickly. So I already know that the old Veinette edge is gone. Hold on, I'm going to cough a little. It's a spring here in Maryland, which means, hang on, I'm going to move this out, which means I'm going to thin that up a little bit more than normal. Which means we have an amazing pollen content going on. If you want to develop pollen-related allergies, this is the place to come. But you're wondering less about weather in Maryland and more about this stone, which is absolutely wonderful feeling. Silky smooth, velvet texture. I'm going to do I can feel the edge on the stone. Again, very, very soft. I'm going to do a little test here just to see where we are. I know I've knocked off the previous edge. So let's see, or knocked off the previous apex. Let's see where we are today. For change, we have a pink M-shaped packing peanut. Yeah, that we're already super, super fine at the edge. Maybe could use a little work right there on the toe. And this is my kind of stone. I'm completely happy with this. Is maybe, I don't know, maybe 2 centimeters. I'm sorry, maybe 3 centimeters. Maybe 4. This I think feels like it's slightly shy of 2 inches. Maybe 5. 2 inches would be 5 centimeters roughly, and actually, yeah. Let's see here. What am I doing? Getting a little sidetracked. Let's put a little bit more water here. This is not my favorite. Here we go. Since we're so far on the edge, I'm going to thin up quickly. It feels like the surface is very, very fine and acting very well on the edge. What I started to say about the size of the stone is that I prefer this thing because it makes it quite easy for me to work on the blade in sections. And then to blend between those sections, which is what you see me doing here. I'm loving the way already the edge feels. The softness of the surface sort of communicates to me that I can get by without a lot of pressure. That it's going to do its best work refining without a lot of pressure. And so I'm modulating my pressure based on feedback from the stone. I do what I always say that I'm doing, which is put enough pressure so that I can feel what's happening at the apex, and then try to put no more. That way the surface of the stone is cutting the apex in an optimal way. Too much pressure is trying to dig the apex into the stone, and too little pressure, you run the risk of bouncing the apex off of the stone. So that sounds more complicated to say than it is to do. Okay. Let's see where we are. Well, that's very good. It's almost soundless. I think we're going to maybe add a little bit more water here. This is not my preferred setup for grabbing water. I did this so you could see in the video. Let's so we're down to misty slurry already. Veinette Coticule, they need to really try to put some grit ratings on these things so that people have an idea of how fine the stone will be, and so they have like a 12,000 grit rating on this. The garnets are going to be of varying sizes, and the packing into the sediment, whatever the sediment is, the packing will be tight or loose. If it's loose, then the stone will give up abrasive more easily than if it's tight. This feels the feel of the stone is just wonderful. This is the area where I think maybe some extra work might be required. Okay. Let's see where we are. I'm going to try to finish just on water, plain water, if we're at that stage. Back packing peanut. No, I think I've got to do some more, and I think maybe I want to back up a little and do it with just a little bit more slurry. And this is where I'm going to find out how far this, or not how far, but roughly how far I can get the edge refined on this stone in my first try with this stone, is to just sort of go back and forth with different levels of abrasion until I get a progression of the edge that I recognize. So I already know, based on how the edge is going into the packing peanut, that this is a shaving edge. Now we're messing with getting it refined a little bit more. And then going to see how it feels when we shave. Try one more time here. That's what I would consider to be a little better. Okay, let's dilute. So now we have less. Slurries are, as I've said before, they're not super efficient, but you can adjust the amount of abrasion on a cuticle with slurry. So I went back for a little bit more abrasion just to speed along the development of this edge. And now I'm definitely, I can feel the edge is different now. I feel the edge on the stone is different. I'm back to, or have always been really since I mentioned it, using only enough pressure to feel the very apex on the stone, and it feels, again, the feeling is very, very smooth, very velvety, and definitely there's a softness to it. All right. Yeah, I'm a big fan of narrower stones, but the dimension that I really want is length. I like having a longer stone. It helps me to feel as I'm moving the razor. It helps me to feel the edge in different areas better, areas of the blade better. Okay, that's an improvement. That's definitely an improvement. As you would expect, kind of slow. Okay, I think I'm going to try going to water here, plain water, and then we'll see what we get from plain water. Definitely taking my time, because, I mean, why would you rush? This is an experiment, right? I have only a thin layer of water here. I'm going to add a little more. I'm going to continue on this for a little while. I'm definitely starting to feel the stone and the edge, stone and the apex value change. I wouldn't call this sticking. This is what I call the edge moving into the stone. You can start to see, again, I'm still with a fairly thin layer of water. It's easily popping up. I'm not sure you can see this because it's a thin line, but it's easily popping up over the edge. I'm going to continue to see if that changes. Is that the feeling has stayed the same in terms of the feel of the edge on the stone, but as I do more of this, I'm seeing more and more of the thin water layer easily move up over the edge. So I'm just going to see at what point do I get a constant, at what point does that stop changing? Because it has been increasing as I've been doing laps here. Got to get the all-important toe. I use the toe of the razor a lot. When I shave, I use all of the razor. And again, that's one of the joys of it's very nice. One of the joys of honing from evenly from heel to toe is you get to use all those areas when you shave. Wow. Okay, so that is now, it's just popping up. That thin layer, which hasn't changed, so that thin layer is just popping up. I have a tiny, tiny bit of self-slurry from the stone, which effectively is giving me a misty slurry. And this feels exceptional. So let's see where we are. Okay, well, that's push into the cloud there. So maybe not push into the cloud so much towards the heel. Well, awfully close. I'll do just a little bit more. I mean, this is OCD taking over right here. The difference in pressure was very, very slight. Okay, go back to it. Yeah, you're seeing full on OCD going on here. That's perfect. That is really nice. Again, I don't need to push very far into the packing peanut because I only care about the first 1/2 millimeter of the edge. That's the part that does the cutting. That is perfect. Okay, let's go to the microscope. I'm going to pause you, go to the microscope, and then come back. All right, I'm back. I've just shown you three uh, 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 microscope videos of this razor. The first is the section of the heel right here. The next is a section of the center right here. And the final one is right at the toe, right about there. And that's what I typically see from a caudicle edge. When I do it, they tend to be a little toothy right down at the apex. And that toothiness is drastically accentuated because of the magnification on the microscope that I use. However, because of the nature of these edges, I tend to strop post-shave a little bit more with a caudicle edge than I do with other edges that I create. So I'll probably do about 40 laps on linen and another 80 laps on leather before I shave with this. I found out recently from chatting with Eric that he does something similar. He does some extra stropping with his caudicle edges, or at least with some of them, I think. So anyway, that's this video. I'm going to go do some stropping, and I will see you in the shave test. Bye.